ECB President Christine Lagarde plans to continue with further interest rate hikes in the fight against high inflation. According to her, the central bank's efforts to combat inflation become even more challenging when certain measures get out of control. In this video, we will discuss how this could impact stocks, cryptocurrencies, and the housing market, as well as the plans of both the ECB and the Fed to address these challenges. To better understand the ECB's plans, we need to look at what game it is currently playing. We take a look at the U.S. economist Paul Krugman, who teaches at Princeton University, writes for the New York Times, and is considered an ally of the Biden government. Krugman was also involved in the financial crisis of 2008, caused by the inflation of the real estate bubble, which caused huge losses for many people. Paul Krugman is a brilliant Keynesian who understands that prosperity and human prosperity come from big government spending and unlimited money printing in central banks, rather than stupid things like free markets and technological innovation. He is also famous for rightly denouncing scam projects like the Internet in 1998. At that time, Paul Krugman shared his thoughts on the future of the Internet and also on the growth of the Internet. Here's a quote from Paul Krugman himself: "The growth of the Internet will slow down drastically. Most people have nothing to say to each other. We know this because there is actually no social media and online communication between people." That was what Paul Krugman said. And he went on to say that by 2005 it will be clear that the Internet's impact on the economy is no greater than that of the fax machine. Well, he was definitely right about that. Paul Krugman is also a critic of Bitcoin and sees it as evil. He also sees that Bitcoin is a bubble. When the Bitcoin crash and bear market happened in 2008, he even said that a total collapse of Bitcoin was a real possibility. But joking aside, in fact, he was repeatedly wrong. The question is, how did the actions of central banks, including those of Paul Krugman, lead to the 2008 crash? And what could that mean for the future of our money? Basically, it's based on central banks keeping interest rates too low for too long. We just saw that too. And that was back when Alan Greenspan was chairman of the Federal Reserve Board. There was that policy too. This created a stock market bubble that was noticed in the late 1990s. Then Alan Greenspan raised interest rates at the central bank. And the dot-com bubble and dot-com crash happened. And what was the central bank's solution after interest rates were so high? They lowered interest rates again. This has led to a bubble forming in the real estate market. Alan Greenspan's successor, Ben Bernanke, listened to Paul Krugman's expertise and raised central bank interest rates in 2004 to 2006. This means that there was a low-interest environment before, after which it was recognized that a bubble had formed here again. They raised interest rates, causing the U.S. real estate bubble to burst. This has led to almost the end of the entire U.S. banking system. Ultimately, the result was that after the crash of 2009, Ben Bernanke decided that unlimited money should be printed. Quantitative easing ensued to ultimately save the banking system. The problem, however, was that it destroyed the central bank's balance sheet and has never recovered. Basically, the whole thing then continued through smaller bubbles where interest rates were raised and lowered, which ultimately led to the absolute loss of purchasing power of the dollar and of course the euro. Then came the pandemic and the lockdowns, and now they're raising rates again. The interest rate means particularly the interest rate on U.S. Treasury bonds and U.S. Treasury securities. These can only be kept at a low level as there is an enormous increase in money and the Federal Reserve is buying up bonds. The increase in money ultimately brings more and more new dollars and euros into circulation, thereby reducing the purchasing power of the dollar and of course the euro, which we are currently witnessing. Basically, this is a very bad thing and ultimately also contributes greatly to inequality in wealth. Wealthy people are better at hedging themselves, for example by having a portfolio of stocks, possibly also Bitcoin, and real estate. The unlimited printing of money, as we are seeing right now, is only possible because the USA officially deviated from the gold standard in 1971 and since then has only ever tried to postpone the problems by printing money instead of taking care of the problems. The next chairman of the Fed or the European Central Bank will solve the problems. And solving it is always printing money. One of the people responsible for this is of course Paul Krugman, who interestingly said the following after the dot-com bubble to fight this recession. The Federal Reserve needs more than a recovery. It needs increased fiscal spending to offset weak business investment. To do that, Alan Greenspan had to create a real estate bubble to replace the Nasdaq bubble. The financial crisis of 2008, and the real estate bubble ensued. This replaced the dot-com crisis, according to Paul Krugman. And that's exactly what we see throughout history. So that's the strategy of central banks, or Paul Krugman's strategy, of replacing an existing crisis with a new, even worse crisis. Basically, that just shows how fiat economists think. And that was disastrous. It has caused many people to lose and still lose a lot of money. The problem with Krugman is that he was wrong about a lot of things. For example, he was wrong about the internet and will be wrong about Bitcoin too. The problem is that such people never face personal or professional consequences, even though they are repeatedly wrong. This is because they are the mouthpiece for central banks, the existing fiat slave system, and Keynesian politicians. Our governments, the US, the European Union, and institutions are now full of such people. For example, Janet Yellen said in 2017 that she does not expect another financial crisis in our lives. Just 3 years later we had the stock market crash of 2020, lockdown, and a financial crisis. Christine Lagarde even said that the crisis in the Eurozone had probably bottomed out. But where are we now? Jerome Powell calls inflation temporary and has been fighting it for months, attempting to contain inflation by raising interest rates. The question is, what's next for us? We see ourselves jumping from bubble to bubble and going from crisis to crisis. But how will we get out of this situation? How will this affect our money? If we look at the US, which currently has a national debt of over 120%, things are looking extremely grim. We are no longer in the 1970s and 1980s, when the then governor of the central bank could simply raise interest rates to curb inflation. Because at that time the national debt in the USA was 30%. Now it's 120%. That's a clear difference. Now that the debt to GDP ratio is so high, every decision the US Federal Reserve makes is bad. In view of the current crisis, the only option left is to print more money, but this can be suspended in phases of recovery or crises. The US Federal Reserve plans to reduce its balance sheet and raise interest rates in preparation for future squeezes. However, the rate hike must not be too sharp, as this would hamper the ability of the US government, which is already heavily indebted, to act. That means we're very likely to see more money printing in the coming months, and not just in the US, but also in the European Union. There we see over-indebtedness of over 120% of gross domestic product in many countries. In the US, we have about $31 trillion in debt, plus $181 trillion in unfunded debt. The gross domestic product of the US is about $22 trillion, and the balance sheet of the Fed, the Central Bank of the United States, is $8 trillion. The way the central bank will try to handle this is simple: they have to print more money at some point. And they must also buy most existing US Treasury bonds and future US Treasury bonds to fund the currently unfunded US debt. As already mentioned, things look just as bad in some countries of the European Union, such as Greece, Italy, Portugal, Spain, etc. Ultimately, the USA and other countries have to finance things like Social Security, and that means new money must be printed. The discrepancy becomes particularly striking when one considers that governments can buy their own government bonds and stocks. We have seen this clearly during the lockdown, for example with the Bank of Japan, which currently owns 63% of equity market ETFs and over half of Japanese government bonds. This raises the question of whether this is a Ponzi scheme. They also had to buy all that debt to keep the entire Japanese economy from crashing. There's a good chance that what we saw in Japan we'll see in the United States and Europe as well, just on a much, much larger scale. In order to cope with the current situation, more and more euros and US dollars are being printed, which means the end of fiat currencies in their previous form and their purchasing power. The rising prices are inevitable, but it remains uncertain when exactly this will happen. It is a fact, however, that continuing to deal with crises by printing money and constantly raising and lowering interest rates will further reduce the purchasing power of money. A possible future solution could lie in digital central bank currencies. It is certain that a devaluation of money is imminent, although it may not happen in the next year or two. However, we are currently on a path that could result in a massive depreciation of the US dollar and euro. It is interesting to note that the US dollar may actually be gaining strength relative to other fiat currencies as illustrated by the dollar to euro ratio. However, we must remember that this ultimately means devaluation, which results in a loss of purchasing power for goods and services. Against this background and in view of current developments, we believe that Bitcoin is important as an alternative to fiat currencies.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For more great content in the future,